What's going on, everybody? John Eric Poli here with my MMA news, and today's guest will be fighting for the Invicta flyweight title at Invicta FC 51, fighting against Ketlen Souza. Pleased today to once again to be joined by Kristina Williams. Kristina, nice to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too.
So I know you're about to get off to practice there, so I appreciate you making the time for today's interview. Before we get into anything fight specific here, I do have to start by asking about the holiday season. Of course, it just wrapped up. How was it spending Christmas and New Year's? And were you able to eat it all with the holidays, going on, all that good food, and you having a fight coming up here?
Yeah, actually, it was really good. I was able to eat some. I kept my weight really good. I haven't really had any problems, so I was able to have a good holiday.
All right, so now let's get into this fight stuff here. So, just to clarify for everybody out there, I remember after you won your last fight and you called for a title elimination fight. It was kind of one of those ask and you shall receive moments, and you guys were booked to fight. That fight ended up not happening. Let's start there. What happened that fell out?
So I was sparring up at Genesis in Dallas, and I just got hit right in the eyeball, and it fractured my orbital wall right behind my eye. So I had to take off like 6 weeks from that.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's definitely gonna miss some time there after that injury. What was that like recovering from that too? Because I know that's obviously a very serious thing. Your face is all swollen and everything else.
I didn't actually it was really weird because I didn't get much of a black eye or swelling or anything. It was like she hit me right in the eyeball and it was like right behind my eye. And so like the bone right here is like behind it's dropped a little bit, but like it's healed back perfectly well now. But yeah, it sucked.
Yeah, well, I'm glad that it's healed up good now. We're gonna see this fight, and now this fight, it's a title fight now, no longer a title elimination fight. Explain that whole entire process, just of how you got word that you would indeed be fighting for the title.
Yes, so I was supposed to fight her and then wasn't able to fight her. And I was thought I might get a fight in November, but that didn't end up happening. And so I was like, I'll fight anybody. Just get me a fight as soon as possible. And so then they just offered me that title fight. I was very ecstatic.
I bet. I know title fights are definitely a big thing to come by, and there's a lot on the line with the Invicta title. We'll get to that in a moment. But let's start with training camp. Obviously, camp going on right now. You're about to head out to practice. Just how's this camp been going? Hopefully, a healthy camp after what happened the last time.
Yes, I've been very healthy. It's been going really well. Lots of cardio, sprints and stuff. Shark Tank rounds. It's been a tough camp, but it's been really good.
So let's talk too about just how you go about the preparation for your opponent here, because it's a little interesting because it's technically really in a way back-to-back training camps for, because like we mentioned before, you guys were scheduled to fight late last year. I guess two ways to view this. Let's start with the positives. What are the positives? Do you kind of view it maybe like, extra time for studying for a test, for example?
Yeah, I mean, and I got to see her fight. She hasn't hasn't fought for a while. It had been about a year, so it's good to see like what she looked like coming out in the fight in September. Um, but yeah, it's been good. I get to kind of like I really don't like plan my fight around like exactly then. I just want to do my own game plan. So it's been good.
And now let's talk maybe some negatives of having like back-to-back training camps for an opponent, because it could also be viewed at maybe you're overthinking things sometimes. We always know whenever things get pushed back, we tend maybe to overlook or stress maybe a little bit more than when things come later. Are there any negatives to it or not so much? Obviously, you're a veteran at doing this now. Maybe you don't have to worry about any of those types of things.
I mean, I guess like being in camp that long, I was in camp and then I didn't get that fight, and I was like, well, I want to fight in November, so I stayed in camp, kind of. So it's just been like, I mean, I've been staying in shape, but it definitely you get a little tired after a while. But that's probably the only negative.
All right, let's talk about Ketlen here just a little bit more. You mentioned that you did get to see her fight, which was a big positive for you. Just what did you take away from the performance, and kind of what are you expecting out of her on fight night now?
I'm expecting a lot of movement. She's very active. And that's the biggest thing that I've been working on. A lot of times people just stand there and exchange with her, and she's in and out, in and out. She changes stances a lot. So that's something I'm prepared for, not just letting her play her game. And she gets really comfortable in playing her game, and I have to break that up.
All right, so now let's talk about what's on the line here. Now, obviously, like I said in the beginning, this is a title fight. What would it mean for you, given everything that's gone on in the career, to be able to claim a title in a promotion like Invicta, which has a lot on the line?
It would feel so good. Like it would prove to me like everything that I worked for is worth it. I feel like like I've gotten here and I deserve to be there. So it's kind of just like you know confidence that I am there because I deserve to be there.
All right, so now if anybody's heard me saying at any point, now I did mention a few times there's a lot on the line when winning this title. To clarify for everybody out there if they're not familiar with it, Invicta is a feeder system to the UFC and the other big promotions as well, but so many Invicta champions have gone on to the UFC. I know you got to take care of business, you're focused on getting that win, but do you have a plan for if you do win the title? Is that what you want next, the UFC, or do you want to stick around in Invicta? Do you have a long-term scenario here? What's kind of the thought process here?
If that happened, that would be great. Like I definitely would like to get in the UFC. But if not, then like I would be perfectly happy, defending and staying in Invicta. It just depends on what happens.
And just to clarify too, I know you did fight for Bellator in the past, and the other promotions too. They make big offers at fighters. I know like PFL. There's obviously a lot that can happen with their whole $1 million tournaments and everything like that. And Horizon has. And one have been known to throw money at some fighters to get to go over to those promotions. Are any of those even on the table, or are those off to the side? You're just Invicta, win, defend the title, or get the win, go to the UFC are kind of the main options there.
They're kind of the main options, but I'm definitely not closed off to the other ones for sure.
All right, so I do want to shift gears now, going to some topics that are outside of the cage. And the main one here, it's kind of been the big topic of conversation as of late, dealing with Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin. Very scary situation to him, and hopefully he's okay. I just wanted to ask you, you're obviously somebody that's in a contact sport. So, are there anything that fighters could do, or maybe even, I don't know, athletes in general that are involved with contact sports that are, taking trauma to the head, or I think in his case may have been trauma to the chest area. But regardless, these contact sports where you're taking damage to the body, if there's any precautionary measures maybe that are out there or should be highlighted to people that maybe they don't realize are out there, that may help with these types of scenarios.
I mean, there's only so much you can do, especially like when you're actually in a fight. But in general, I don't spar like I used to. Like, there's no need for like like trying to knock each other out and sparring all the time. Or you just have to be as careful as you can in training. I feel like because I mean, just like in that game, there's nothing you can do about that necessarily because it's such a contact sport. But yeah, just taking as much off of yourself in training as you can and being more technical.
It's funny. You're not the first person that's ever actually, mentioned something along those lines. I've been seeing that kind of be a trend more and more, that sparring is starting to kind of take a bit of a backseat. It's no longer where you're out there sparring literally every single day in camp. Things are a lot more refined. Is that kind of a new trend around the sport, do you feel like?
I think so because I people have had so many injuries from the way they spar, and I've seen so many people get so many injuries sparring like crazy, and it doesn't seem to make a big difference. Like I feel like technical sparring has been better for me, like I'll spar hard once in a while, but it's just not like a common thing. Your body just can't take that much that often.
All right, so I just got one last question for you. And it's something I actually meant to ask you in the past, and I feel like I kind of just forgot never ask it, but I did see a photo on one of the social media channels of yours. There may have been on Twitter, but anyways, you on the back of a horse, and your nickname, of course, War Horse, which I find awesome, by the way. I guess number one, explain the nickname, and then do you enjoy riding horses, or was that just kind of staged for that one photo?
Oh no, I've ridden horses since I was 4 years old, so that's my what I do for work. I'll train horses and give riding lessons. And I've had horses since I was like so young. And like jumping and doing like the cross country stuff. Is my favorite.
That's a really cool other profession that you have there. And another time we'll kind of dive into those types of things too, because I have a lot of questions I'm going to want to ask you about doing next. It seems pretty cool, but I know you got to get off to practice and that, so I'm going to let you take off. Last thing before you head out, social media, management, sponsors, anything like that that you got to give shout outs to. Floor is yours. Take it away.
Okay, so my social media is Warhorse MMA on Instagram and Kristina Warhorse Williams. You can follow me. Follow TKO Combat Sports, my manager, and my gyms, Killer Bees and The Forge. I have so many sponsors right now. I probably going to forget some, but Lunatic Fringe Social Club. I have blanking. There's so many more. Like I'm not even gonna be able to remember them all. But yeah, I just thank so much to all of my sponsors.
All right, Christina, thanks again. Really appreciate the time. I'm going to let you take off to practice there. So, again, just wanted to thank you for being here. And I just want to thank all the viewers out there for their time, as always. Like I do, just want to remind everybody, if you like today's interview, make sure to go to the bottom, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't done so already. And make sure you guys are keeping your tabs on MyMMANews.com. We have great content that comes out every single day of the week. Also, make sure to go to our social media pages, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Give us a like and a follow on there as well. We'll see you later, everybody.